2, 1. Hello again and welcome to It's Tea Time with Tony Westward and myself, Neville Gaunt. Now, this is the third programme and we've already covered your first tea nerves, as we'll call it. And then last week we covered change. Are you ready for change? Can you actually change your attitude to change? And now this week we're going to be talking about the terrible T. Tension, Tony. Tension in the golfer, tension in the entrepreneur, tension in the workplace, tension on the golf course. So let's start off with the golf course. So what is it when people come to you and you can see that they're so tight with their grip, they just need to relax?
Well, it's interesting. We've been talking about this stuff now for several years, and as I started to do my own research into looking at how golfers needed to improve, one thing was borne out every single time, and that was how tense people are. The challenge is that they've been doing things for so long, they don't actually realise how tense they actually are until it's pointed out. I now call tension as being public enemy number one to the golfer. And we can, as people will find out as we go through this discussion today, is it happens everywhere. And if we can become aware of it, we talk about a lot about awareness within our MindFit programs. If you can become aware of where you are, then you can begin to make change and understand what's actually going on. Well, in most cases, people aren't aware of what they're doing. They think tension is just hanging on to the grip too tight. But I've seen golfers kind of not only hanging on to the grip too tight, but the shoulders are really tight and the chest is being caved in to the point where they can't actually breathe. And one thing I say to them, where the driving range is positioned, they'll park the car fairly close to the driving range, and I'll just kind of nip outside and have a look at where they park the car. I said, that's a really nice car, isn't it? Yeah, it's a really nice car. I bet that car cost a lot more than your golf clubs, didn't it? And they go, oh yeah, definitely. I said, all right. So why are you hanging on to your golf club so tight? And when you're doing 70 miles an hour down the fast lane of the motorway, you're actually sitting there nice and relaxed, listening to the radio, quite possibly with just one hand on the steering wheel. So maybe we should take some of that and bring that into the golf game. And if you can begin to do that, you can begin to make sense of what might be going on elsewhere as well.
Yeah, I love that analogy. And of course, we're not proposing that you have one hand on the steering wheel. You need to have two, because that's the right attitude. But the thing about this is it does translate. So tension, I see it a lot when I'm playing golf and watching chief execs on our program. They do tense up, and you can see it in not just in their body, but what's going through their head. There's like 1,000 things going through their mind, so they can't really concentrate on anything. And at the end of the day, all they're doing is hitting a little ball. I mean, you can imagine that type of tension in the workplace where you're so tight and you've got such a tight grip on the organization that the organization doesn't breathe. People don't get engaged. They're not allowed to grow. They're not encouraged to experience new things. So this tension is a really, a hugely important thing. And as you say, public enemy number one. So let's go through a bit of a routine here. What you would do, with the average guy that comes along and they're trying to develop what you and I call soft hands. I mean, it's soft hands are in the whole arena. They talk about soft hands in rugby when you're handling a rugby ball. They talk about soft hands in baseball. They talk about soft hands all the time in cricket these days. Don't hear it a lot in golf, but it's the equivalent of soft hands, isn't it?
It is really, and I think that one of the biggest challenges that golfers have is all the information they receive is based on what the best golfers in the world are doing. Well, you don't start a child riding a bicycle by showing them a picture of Geraint Thomas or or Bradley Wiggins and saying, you know, one day you're going to be in the Tour de France. No, we buy them a bicycle so they can learn and develop a new skill. And hopefully that's going to be the forerunner for other skills they're going to develop. Whereas you watch children learn to ride a bike, initially they're too tense on the bicycle. They have to learn to become part of the bicycle, just like the golfer has to learn to become part of the golf swing. When I watch golfers, what I'm trying to do initially is get them to use less energy. So you'll see that the energy to stand up takes a certain amount of energy, but you don't have to tense your legs or your shoulders or your arms to stand up. You just stand up. So the energy to address the golf ball should take just the energy to stand up. And if you're addressing the golf ball and your hands are tight and your shoulders are tight, then if the task of moving a golf ball is to transfer energy using your body and a stick into a ball, then all of that energy has now been wasted. And you're going to have to do more than you need to move that little golf ball around the golf course. So it's very much a case of get them to stand up, be relaxed, allow them to bend the knees and lean forward and let their arms just hang out in front of them, using as little energy as possible. I think one thing is a classic for a golfer is they'll tell themselves to try to relax. Well, that actually doesn't really compute and make sense, does it? Because if you're trying to relax, that suggests it takes effort. And then effort means energy again. So you should just be able to stand there, drop into your position, and then extend your arms and hold the golf club with just enough pressure to be able to keep hold of a golf club. Instinct will kick in. When you swing the club and hit the golf ball, there's going to be a natural increase in tension. Well, that's the difference between good tension and bad tension. Effectively, you played rugby. When you tackled somebody playing rugby, you weren't tense as you were moving into the tackle, but there was an instinctive moment at which you tensed up when you had to transfer the energy you had to stop the energy the other person had. That is instinctive. We're not counting the moment at which point we're going to go tense. It just happens as a matter of learning and developing the skill to tackle, to kick a football, to swing a golf club. It's something that develops over time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's this thought process of it's part of your motion. So the club actually just becomes part of your body. It's just a long arm in some respects. And equally, going back into the business world, it's the same thing. If you tightly grip it, it's not going to go anywhere. If you have sufficient grip on it so that people have got latitude, people can go, your own employees can go and look at new things, look at being responsive, looking at being adaptive, and then feed that back to you without you getting tense. So this word tension, it's an incredibly tough thing to get over, because as you said, there is a point in time, not just playing rugby, but in the golf swing, where the tension does change. So it's not loose all the way through. As you know, you're going to hit the ball, your grip's slightly a little tighter, but then it's released into the ball. Just like in rugby, when you go in for a tackle, all the adrenaline is punching through you, and you know that you're going to hit somebody. I mean, that's the whole point of the tackle, really. It's not touch rugby.
Absolutely, yeah.
And as you hit, of course, your body really does tighten through and then releases because you put all the effort into the impact. And this analogy is that's why sports people, really good sports people, can be really good in other arenas because they've already developed that technique. But as you said, even riding a bike is exactly the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The more, you see toddlers getting on the bike for the first time, and you see the carefree ones that really have got no tension. They just get on it because they're so excited by it. There's no fear. Whereas the ones that are excited but have got a little bit of fear perhaps tense up. And is that part of what the golfer has? There's just that little bit of fear that overpowers the excitement of playing golf.
Absolutely, and I think the key thing is they want to get it right. We all want to do things right. The challenge is a lot of people come into something like golf in I don't know, as they're a little bit older, they've been through education. When we watch those children, you just talked about getting on the bicycle, a lot of them haven't started. Well, they don't think they've started their education yet, but their education started way before they're going to go into nursery or into school or whatever. And it's really getting them to realize they can be part of something. They can focus on what they want to achieve. And the quicker you can learn from your mistakes, maybe we shouldn't call them mistakes, we should just call them experiences. The quicker you can learn from your experiences, the quicker you can move forward. Whereas golfers are like the child, they're trying to balance on the bike first. Well, why? Let's make mistakes. Let's understand what's happening as we do those, as we go back into, we talked in part one about hitting the ball left and hitting the ball right. Well, if we could actually encourage that initially, we'd understand what makes it go left and what makes it go right. And then we can find that space somewhere in between. And if we try and create the link back into business, tension happens because the focus can be far too broad. The biggest challenge I have with golfers is they're trying to hit the ball. Well, the ball might only be quite small, but to hit the golf ball where you want it to go, you have to hit a very specific part of the ball. And you can begin to then relax as you move your way around the golf course because you're hitting the part of the ball or close to the part of the ball that you want more often. So we take that into business. The adrenaline gets running when we've been focused. We've had that laser-like focus. We've prepared for what it is we want to achieve, and then everybody can run with it because everybody knows what direction they're heading in. And that becomes key. It's having that focus. It's having done your preparation in a relaxed way. It's, are you solving a problem, or are you looking for solutions? They sound very similar. Actually, they can be quite different, because within an organization, we've got people who are looking for solutions and people who are just looking for problems. Well, to bring those people together is a massive, massive change for some and quite a small change for others. But once we begin to do that, we begin to move forward. What the golfer has to realize is the golfer is both of those people. They're all of those people. They're from the CEO to the person who is passing the mail around the office. The golfer is that one person, is that whole company. And when they begin to realize that they're in control without feeling like they have to be in control by creating tension, they can begin to make progress. But it's born out of the preparation, the focus, the understanding, the awareness of what we want to actually achieve. And then, unfortunately, that doesn't always happen.
No, you're right. It doesn't always happen. And clearly through our process of these sessions every Tuesday before Christmas, we're trying to help you understand what makes you tick. It's really difficult for us because we're just looking at each other and a blank screen for everybody else. It's really difficult for us to put ourselves in your situation. But the good thing is you're in it. So you know what happens. But have you raised your awareness as to find what's happened? And the golfer knows that tension is a killer. It kills the swing. And if you can release that tension, just let go and trust in your experiences, trust in your swing, then you will become a better golfer. And it's this word trust. And funny enough, it's got the same letter as tension. So you actually got it's a T word. So if you trust in yourself, you'll be surprised to know that tension just disappears. So you've got one thing you need to do is to trust yourself more. And how you do that in the golf world is practice, practice, and more practice. And as we always say, is you don't need to go to the golf course. You don't need to go to the practice range. You can practice this in your front room. All you've got to do is be focused on your practice. So we're talking about tension today, Tony. What sort of exercises can people do in their own home, not necessarily with a golf club, to start realizing their level of tension, or more importantly, reducing their level of tension?
First and foremost is, you know what, you've got to breathe.
That's really good. That's really good, because we say that all the time, don't forget to breathe. But the nice thing is our body is so brilliant, it breathes automatically unless we physically stop it. And this is the classic. You and I have a lot of fun with this because people they stop breathing when they tense up.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and the challenge is, they say, yeah, but I breathe all the time. We know we breathe all the time because it's just that instinctive thing, but we don't think about our breathing. So, but to breathe in a different way means we can give ourselves a signal to actually relax. So first of all, we have to make sure that we're breathing using our diaphragm, because most people breathe and they're filling the capacity from probably the chest upwards. So it's not really breathing. So to breathe properly, you inhale through your nose, and as you inhale through your nose, you actually blow your belly out. So it's so the key thing is learn to breathe to relax. So you inhale through your nose, you blow your belly out like a balloon, and then you exhale out your mouth. Now, because it's different, your body's getting far more oxygen. You will begin to relax because you have far more oxygen. When you breathe in the high part of your chest only, you starve yourself of oxygen, which, lo and behold, guess what that does? It actually increases tension. So we need to learn to breathe, and by breathing specifically, we can begin to understand how we can relax more. So I'll introduce breathing into a pre-shot routine. So golfers will, just before they're about to hit the golf ball, working from anywhere between 1, 2, or 3 breaths, they will inhale and exhale fairly audibly, and they become quite conscious of this because they think, well, people are going to hear me breathing. But when you explain to them that everybody's so caught up in what they're doing, they're actually not going to do what you're doing. But they've become very conscious of it. But all of a sudden, they begin to learn to relax. And just like they've learned to create the tension, their mind and body together begin to realize that the time to address the ball is the time to relax. And their brain goes quiet. And then they can begin to relax and perform. So you don't have to keep doing it. Eventually, you learn that the quiet time is over the golf ball. When most golfers' noisy time is that point over the golf ball, when they've got all these words and ideas going through the head. Don't go in the water. Remember what you did last week. Oh, I don't like this golf club. Oh, that wind's just got up a little bit, hasn't it? Oh, that lie's not too good now, is it? I wonder what Fred thinks. I hope they like this new outfit I've got on this week. God, they really commented on my golf shoes, didn't they, on the first tee? They've got all these things going through the head because they're not focused on what they're actually doing. So just having the time to be quiet, to relax in a room, maybe you put some instrumental music on, I don't know, but just to sit and become aware of your breathing, to breathe properly, to feel the relaxation moving through your body is a great way to begin to understand what's going on. Now, across the day, maybe you could do that as you notice tension building. You've got a phone call you've got to make and you're a little bit stressed about it, or a meeting you've got to go and hold. Well, just take a few moments just to breathe and do the same thing. Let everything settle. One of the the coaches I had many years ago when I was studying neuro-linguistic programming. He said before any presentation, he used to go to the toilets, and he'd go to the toilets, and he says, I was putting my Superman outfit on. Now, he didn't come out wearing a Superman outfit, but in his head, he was creating this idea that he was invincible, that he knew exactly what he was going to do. And taking that time to prepare yourself and realize that you can take that preparation and you can use it wherever you want to is key. And if you want to then take that step further, start to focus on what you want to achieve. Most golfers, okay, maybe you may have seen this in business, Neville, I don't know. Maybe on a rugby pitch, a rugby player will say, as somebody's running towards them, the thought goes through the head, oh, he's big. And all of a sudden, you're definitely going to be flattened. You're not going to stop him. Yeah, so maybe this happens in business as well. But actually, imagine what you want to achieve. Focus on what you want to do, not what you don't want to happen. Because what you don't want to happen will actually lead you to doing lots of other things. We actually want to be focused on what we want to achieve. So relaxing, closing your eyes, imagine yourself making that golf swing. What does it feel like after you've been successful? So create the success by using your imagination. And scientists and researchers have now found out that when you get athletes to imagine their race, other than doing the physical element themselves, they're using an awful lot of the normal brain power, the connections they would normally be using when they're running that race, they're using, even though they may be sat in a chair relaxing at home, just imagining what they're doing. So prepare for success by using your imagination to create that focus. And if you do it consistently, I'm prepared to wager that you'll be successful.
Yeah, I think we can probably almost guarantee it, frankly. And it's funny that, you know, all these meditation techniques say the same sort of thing. You're learning how to breathe. You're learning to get in touch with your inner self. And this is no different in many respects. It's a little bit more focused because, as Tony says, you know, we've got this little routine, the pre-shot routine where you breathe. And guess what? There's a post-shot routine where you breathe again. Otherwise, you're just going to get frustrated that the shot didn't quite happen as you planned it to. And the whole thing about here is, as frustration grows, tension increases. There's a surprise. And what we're trying to do is to reduce that frustration. So in the workplace, take a deep breath. I mean, I don't know how many times you've probably heard that saying, but now you know why you take a deep breath. It's to get yourself composed, to get yourself relaxed, because the best decisions are made when you are relaxed. That doesn't mean to say you're not under pressure, but you can be relaxed under pressure. You can feel focused and confident under pressure. And that's having that can-do attitude. So this moral of this week, you know, the terrible T's: tension and trust. And trust is what you need to go away with today. So go and trust yourself a bit more. Just take a few of the exercises that we've suggested in the past 2 programs. Go and now have another look at our first 2 programs, because you will hear something different. There will be something that triggers your thought process. Now you realize a little bit more. We don't want to be tense playing golf, because it will actually crucify the swing, and as a result, you will not get the result you're looking for. So, simple thing today is we'll see you next week at It's Tea Time. It's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from him. Take care, everybody. Enjoy your week.
Have a great week, everybody. Bye.